Welcome. This is episode 64 of The Inner Lenses, and we're sort of going backwards in time, not in a Michael J. Fox sense here, but to a conversation that I had hoped to start today's session off with. So you'll probably be able to remember that several weeks ago I was up at the hotel because I couldn't use internet, and we had a conversation then about technology. Well, yesterday I was up at the hotel. Yes, I know there's a causal factor here. And I spent the best part of 6 hours trying to get into various emails and different sites and things because it didn't believe that I was human. I'd taken the drastic action. The cause of the effect was clearing my cache, which it obviously doesn't like because, there goes all your deep data mining kind of information. But technology did not believe that I was a person. So I was having to convince a computer that I was not a robot. I was having to convince a computer that I am who I'm claiming to be. And it got very frustrating. If it weren't for a voice of reason in my mind saying it's not the MacBook's fault, it would have gone in the lake. Sorry, I'm in Scotland. It's a lock. Brett was just waxing lyrical about this, and I asked him to pause. I'm hoping you remember where you were going, Brett. So go ahead.
Well, I was just saying how AI is in your phone now. And when you start the phone up, you have to accept all the things in order to use the phone. So now phones listen. I mean, I don't know. I'll talk about something, all of a sudden I got stuff being sold to me. That's exactly what I spoke about. So phones are listening, right? Let's be real. Now you got AI in that phone and it's listening to you. Here's if you're angry. Here's if you're road raging. Here's and watches your purchases, everything that's going on. You got this thing sitting not so far away that is catching the conversation and can manipulate everything and anything or tell somebody about you. So where are we going with this? Like, oh my God.
Really fascinating. And, we are living in this very open new age world where lots of people have started to learn about Jungian synchronicity, and some people are beginning to believe in synchronicity. Now we're seeing synchronicities that are just machine manipulation, as you've just explained. So for those who are not very aware and mindful, you can believe that, oh, I'm supposed to buy this expensive safari holiday because look, I've just been offered a discounted one. The fact that you've been talking about them for a decade notwithstanding. Who wants to pick up the ball and run with it?
I'll just throw this out here.
Go on.
Probably knows how much money you have as well. So it's a sliding scale depending upon what you can actually afford.
Oh,
Oh no.
oh, Jonathan.
I'll give you two stories. So one on the chatbots and the LLMs, they were playing like asking the AI, how do I make a load of money? And then they said, how do I make a load of money? And I don't mind if it's illegal. And the AI reported them back to the police. Okay, that's one. And the other one is apparently Tesla has got a few cameras on the inside of the car, and those are running all the time. And they may or may not be used for example, court cases if you're in an accident, or if you're doing things you might be doing in a car that may or may not be approved of by some people. So those are the and it's totally right that I I think a good reason to go back away from a smartphone is I don't know how if you can turn the AI off, whether it's possible, and whether you believe it, even if you thought you had turned it off, because there are instances now, again apocryphal, of you've changed the security setting in your machine, and it's blatantly ignored you. We've had that about the this is not AI, but this is just technology. The VPN, the virtual private network, designed to protect your security, and they said, "Oh no, it wasn't." Sorry.
But
So thanks.
you raise another point in this. I almost wish we hadn't let the toothpaste out of the tube. Who's deciding whether that is the right thing to be doing in the car? I mean, I've done some things in cars that at that moment, they were the right thing to do. But who's deciding? Which perspective, which lens is that coming from?
I'll just remind you that the big AI companies are lobbying for minimum regulation of AI. So what does that tell you? Thanks.
I think what we also have to think about is that, the data is collected, and depending where it's collected, it's sold. And there's already evidence, for example, that health insurance companies, if you look for private health insurance, are actually buying data. For example, from your favorite food shop. So if they see you buy cigarettes on your food shop, your health insurance is going up because they see how many cigarettes you buy. So that's just one example. And it's happening everywhere because our data is actually sold off. And it's because I have so many friends who said, I don't care. Well, you do, because it's sold and it's actually used to influence your life.
Erika, you've been uncommonly quiet.
Well, I don't know how to take that comment, but first of all, this whole conversation is giving me the worst feeling ever. Like, I'm like, what the, I don't like this at all. A, I feel like we're going down a hole that I don't want to go into. And B, I don't like this. It's like, when did we become a policing, who's ratting me out kind of fucking thing going on here? Like, it's going against everything that I hold to be true. And because my AI told me yesterday that I'm a sovereign being, like, I am wanting to be free and of my own. I am not feeling good about any of this at all. It's like my initial reaction is to unplug everything and throw it into a barrel of acid. Like, I don't want anything to do with this shit. It's scary. It's uncomfortable. And if I'm tapping into emotionally, it feels really, it's heavy and depressing if I allow myself to really get consumed by it. It's sort of like, it's in my awareness. I know it's there, but I have to really keep tabs on myself and how deep into this hole I want to go, because it feels black and dark. I don't like this shit. Period. I just don't like it.
When I was about 15, I read 1984 for the first time, and I didn't pick it up again until about 2 years ago. And I read it on holiday, and an American guy happened to be walking past, and he said, "Scary?" And I was like nodding at the book. I was like, it terrified me at 15, and I'm finding nothing in it that is making me more comfortable. And it is so close to a world in which we live, in terms of Big Brother always watching, in terms of people knowing that, but still going about doing things that are then frowned upon. and cause them problems with the system. I'm not even going to say they're unjust or illegal or amoral, because who's making those decisions? And in the novel, that's part of what it hinges upon. Who is making that decision? And here we are, AI, generated music, things that have no touch of human hand or creativity upon them. Gary, what's Gemini saying?
Gemini says, "You're okay because I can't tell what a traffic light is. I need a human to tell me." Only humans know what a traffic light is and what a motorcycle is and what a bridge is. AI is not able to do that, bizarrely. You're looking quizzical, Alec.
Ask it why it's lying.
I'm
'cause we
relieved.
know that is distinctly false.
No, it didn't say that. But in order to verify that you're human, you have to identify on a picture where the traffic lights are. AI can't do that, really? It's not that clever, really. As far as I'm concerned, it's got a long way to go if it can't recognize a bridge.
AI also thinks it knows everything, as was evidenced to me yesterday when I had a fight with it and said, "You don't fucking know everything, just so you know." It likes to fight back, but I don't know. These conversations, it's because we all enjoy technology to a certain level. We're here now, right? We're able to use technology to allow us to do these kind of things. We enjoy certain parts of it, so it's like that. You can't have one without the other kind of thing. It's like, if we want all of this technology that moves us in faster and gives us options to do certain things, we have to take the good with the bad kind of shit. And for me, like I said, it's personal. I have to temper how far into this I'm going to let myself go before I move off grid into the woods entirely.
I want to go back to 1984, though, if that's okay. So in 1984, the fact that we're being tracked isn't the scariest part for me. The scariest part for me is that the governments made you believe that you were in a constant war. And it was the constant war that makes the people frightened and to do what they want. So I feel like we are being manipulated that way already in certain parts, not necessarily governments, but certain elements in society are making you believe that we are in war. So the worrying part is there is so much misinformation, and it's being often generated now by AI videos, and it's becoming more difficult to tell what is real from what is unreal. And at the moment, I am being triggered, especially around the issue of immigration and what is termed illegal immigration and illegal immigrants. And there are hundreds of videos out there which appears to show immigrants on small boats celebrating, coming onto land, throwing out their phones, throwing away their passports, all dancing and singing. And none of it is true, but people are not able to tell the difference between reality and AI. That scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Gary, because the real question here is really, what's the elephant in the room? And the elephant in the room is who is using it and who is using it to advance their agenda. And that could be a political group, it could be a government, we don't know. And for me as a German, as soon as something comes out, like there's a new law being debated in the UK, which when I hear that, I go like, Hitler would have had a field day with that. And as soon I know Hitler would have had a field day with that, for me, all the red flags come up. So the question really is, I think we as humans need to ask ourselves, how do we keep that genie in a box? You know what? Because it is scary, and as you said, Gary, there is so much misinformation out there that every single thing I see, I actually have stopped watching videos, and if I see one, the first thing I do is this real. And people seem to have a field day with putting out wrong information. My neighbor is 83 and she uses Facebook and a few other social medias, right? And she has clued into that, going like, I'm sick of it, she said. They're saying this celebrity died, this celebrity has cancer, it's all wrong. She said, and she had a whole rant of being sick of this wrong information constantly. And she's 83, right?
The author Michael Crichton wrote a book called State of Fear, and it's memorable because he included a number of essays that he'd written academically. He discusses the use of fear to manipulate the masses. And let's not forget 1984 was written in 1948. It's right off the back of the Second World War. And it was a very different world. But again, with the future pacing of what has happened, in fact. And the reason I mention Michael Crichton and State of Fear is not to recommend that book in particular, but the essays are terrifying. It's long been established that the term conspiracy theory was coined by the CIA as disinformation and discrediting of certain individuals who were considered to be suspect. I would not be at all surprised if the content of this very conversation was considered to be anti-organisation, anti-establishment, however you want to phrase it. Because I don't really think that, I know some people will have just put the full stop there. I don't really think that people in power, in control, who are directing the narrative want to hear us questioning this. They don't want to hear reasonable, rational people saying, wake up, recognize where you are being directed, what thought patterns are more useful to the people who treat us as consumer units. And for that reason alone, I suspect we would probably be branded fringe here.
You know what? For those of us who struggle already with trust, right? This is not helping. This is not fucking helping the situation. Okay. I'm going to speak for all of us out there who have a trouble with trusting in general. Now I got to worry. I don't believe in anything I'm seeing or hearing at all. It's like I start from there. I believe nothing. You have to convince me to believe you at this point because I can't trust anything.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. So for Gaby, if the government uses emergency as the reason to make a law, they will always define us to be in an emergency, like what certain people are doing right now. And the second one for Erika there is the next level from generating the fake news and the misinformation. That's one level, but the next level up is to make so much noise that you lose trust in everything what you have just done. And that then the one above that, who benefits from that total chaos? So those are three of the layers of how many layers there are.
All I know. Go ahead, Gaby.
Yeah, that's almost a separate discussion. How is fear used? Because as soon as they emergency, it's fear-based. So, and because we're getting all sick of it, the really balanced people. I mean, let's face it. If somebody listens in, none of us wants to start a rebellion and topple governments over. We're just normal thinking, critical thinking people, right? So the question is, people like us, where the point are we going to react like Erika? We said, I don't care anymore. I just go into my little box. And this is exactly how trouble starts. Because we get off the boat. Just leave me alone on my own island. I do my bit. I don't want to know. Because we're sick of it. And that's how it starts.
Mm-hmm.
As the one man said, the only way anyone with an agenda or an extreme agenda who works on fear will win, because the other people do nothing. The masses do nothing.
I have room in my boat if anybody wants to go. I don't have to go alone. Like, there's room. There's room in the boat. This is why I spend time, like sometimes I will watch the total extreme of these kind of videos, right? Like what Gary was talking about, and with these real life problems that you don't know what you're looking at. So you're not sure, you don't know how to make sense of it. You don't know if you should trust it or not. So for me, it's real fatigue. Like I get fatigued just even in these kind of conversations cause me to feel that way. So I will watch videos that I know this is fake. Like I know it's fake. So it's like there's entertainment in it for me, that I will watch ridiculous videos like those baby AI videos that are weird as hell, but they're fake. So I know that I can make sense of it, like knowing, okay, what I'm looking at means nothing, has zero impact on my life, and it is a little bit of entertainment, as opposed to getting sucked into watching these things that I'm sitting there now trying to, is this real? How do I want to respond to this? Do I respond to that? Like, it's too much. It's too much data. I can't.
So part of the problem is, as well, is to do with our psychology. And even when you point out to people that this is AI generated videos, the response is often, oh, I know, but it's telling the truth anyway. It's just telling you what is really happening. And that has internal logic. But the more we hear a story, the more we are likely to believe it, whether it's true or not. The fact that it's being retold and retold and retold means we're more likely to go, oh, yeah, that's right.
I mean, my chat GPT tells me all the time at the bottom, it can make mistakes. Check your facts. Like, it's not the word of God there, that what chat GPT says. It's, so AI is just taking information and spitting it back out to wherever and whoever is going to believe it, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, we always did that. In the old days, it was called urban myth, right? Remember these stories going around, and somebody would tell it around the fireside camping, like the scary stories, and it was always the friend of my cousin, which never happened because it was just urban myth. So we always did it. But if it's a wee story going around, which is told on a around a campfire, that's very different from being seen by, I don't know, 1.3 million people, because it's on a platform where everybody has access to. It's just the scale has exploded.
And part of that was something that you mentioned earlier, Gaby, off camera. What we want is something like in our computers, it just records us all the time, and we don't necessarily need to know it, but then we just access it when we want that specific piece of information. No, I'm joking. That would be wrong. But the amount of stuff that you now have to have as a bolt on to a thing that you do want to use. For instance, this is being recorded on Riverside. I think we as a quorum have decided Riverside sucks. It is not user friendly. It keeps wanting you to have another thing, or you need to download this, or if you want a nice background, you've got, and yeah, Microsoft are buying a lot of farms, and that is part and parcel and form of control. They're all little bits of extra dollars that go into the kitty, and they are other ways of, Jonathan mentioned, if you have a law passed in an emergency, you want more emergencies as a government. but what about all the little bits of sneaky law that get passed under the blanket of something that appears to be useful at the time, and which then turn out to make you a terrorist 10 years later?
The classic one there currently is the Online Safety Act and variety. So trying to verify age to get onto Wikipedia. Yeah. And then the next step of even thinking about banning VPNs. And again, it's this business of lack of consequence thinking. What are the unintended consequences of what you're even thinking about? Is it technically possible? And does it have consequences? It's like you've heard some governments have said they want to ban encryption. And that means then no internet banking. That's okay. No sales. You can't buy and sell on the internet, and no internet banking. Did you really think your idea through in the first? Did you understand what encryption was, where it was used, and what the consequences would be? Or did you just open your mouth as a knee-jerk action? So, thanks.
I don't even know what to say.
Well, I was about to say, let's have some closing thoughts. Saying I don't know what to say isn't. We're going to come back to you for your closing thought. Brett, you kicked us off with your mobile phone. What would you like to close with?
Closing thought. There's a lot more to explore here, and just be in the knowing of what's going on. Don't not be aware and on top of things, because just when you think it doesn't really matter, it really does matter, and you don't want to be caught on that bad side. So make good choices. Right, is all I can say. Buy an old car, get an old flip phone. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, it's scary times, because I feel like we can be manipulated very easily, and I'm aware of that. So, yeah.
I don't know if it was irony or comic genius, but there was a time, normally like back in the 80s, when you used to say make good choices, and it was like wrap it up before you put it somewhere. You don't want anything nasty. And could it be truer? Make good choices now is literally life and death. Erika, do you need more time?
There's 5 other people here. Go to everybody else and come back to me.
All right. Jonathan, would you like to go next?
Yeah, so the first thing is, I like to spin everything positive. So I am very, very reassured that around the room we're roughly aligned. A bunch of relatively wise people are roughly aligned. So what do we need to remember? Probably truth and transparency are key, and also genuinely independent public debate. Combined with truth and transparency, much better chance of sanity prevailing than if a back room with elites and billionaires is deciding our fate. Thanks.
Thank you. Gaby?
Well, for me, I think it's just being vigilant, checking truth, reality, and pointing it out. I mean, I have a few friends who sent me the most ridiculous stuff, and I just always send them back a fact check thing. I don't even comment on it. I just send something back, because it would be easy for me to say, "Oh, I just block them," or "I just ignore them." No, I send them back the other side and say, "Hold on, this was AI. This isn't true. Blah blah blah. Here you go." Yeah, I think keeping the conversation open, because it's very simple to just get sucked into it, if that makes sense. And and maybe we never know. Maybe in 10 years' time we all start writing letters again instead of email because we're sick of it.
Yeah, and we'll have to have like a book code so we know that we've encrypted our. Gary.
You've encrypted your Gary. Interesting.
I have. I'm not going to finish that sentence. You carry on.
I think I'm getting a name for saying that there is no such thing as truth. It's all subjective. However, I think there are such things as facts. And I think getting facts out there is really important. How we interpret them, the meaning we put behind them is different, but having the facts is essential, and knowing what is unfactual is also important, and context. You can't take odd phrases, you can't take bits of video out of context, because that changes everything. The frame is essential. I could say more, but I'm going to stop.
Erika, would you have a closing comment you'd like to share?
Did you go? Are you
Yeah.
done?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did.
So I'm listening to everybody. I'm hearing all sorts of things like make good choices, like vigilance. Like I wrote them down. Vigilance and reality, truth and transparency, facts and context are essential. I agree with all of the above. For me, it's less of a cognitive thing. It's not a rational, like that all goes on up here, right? For me, when I hear all of this and this kind of conversation really lands with, ew, I don't like the way this feels, and ew, I'm not doing this. So I'm sticking with that I am going to rely on my inner guidance to, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't make sense. This can't be true. I am not going to be that easily led, right? It's all about making the choice to not be easily led down any path without my own feeling around it. Aside from that, after this conversation, I'm not sure who our one subscriber is not going to get us into much trouble, but I'm not sure about what this kind of conversation, how it lands out there. And honestly, I don't really care because we have to talk about this stuff. This is what's going on out there. We're not the only ones that feel this way. But to be honest, these kind of conversations really land heavy with me. It's a worry to feel I have to be vigilant all the time. My nervous system is screaming, no, please don't make this true, because where do you relax in life now because of this? So those are my closing thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, like, all of our details will be in the comments, etc. And, if we're still able to, we will be back for another episode. But who knows? On what Erika just said, if we're cancelled, then we loved you, Tim Klecker, our soul.
Cancelled. We'll be back under a different name.
Hashtag true. Oh, sorry.
Peace
Hashtag
out.
true.
Peace.